fast Wi-Fi. You use it to connect just about everything, which means having really fast Wi-Fi matters. A lot. That's why Xfinity is breaking the gig barrier and delivering Wi-Fi speeds faster than a gig. It's more than enough speed to power every device in the house. Can your internet do that? Introducing Gig Wi-Fi. New from Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store to learn more. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and are not guaranteed.
For those of you watching this live, it is 10 a.m. in the East, 9 a.m. in Costa Rica, 7 a.m. in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome to the Tailgate Party, brought to you by Sportsbook Review and me, Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. We're going to have all kinds of great information for bettors and gamblers and fantasy football players alike. And in fact, I'm going to have at least 2 free picks on this report. One of them actually crosses over into the NBA. The NBA and the NFL are the ones that are most analogous because they play fairly balanced schedules, unlike in college sports where it can be a little bit less balanced. But anyway, let's just get straight to some of the stuff. Texans and the Rams. The Rams are the best team against the spread in terms of margin of cover. And again, some of you may know that as sweat barometer, some called ATS margin. It is how a team does relative to the spread, much like points per game, except it's relative to the point spread. They're 5-3 against the spread, but by league high, covering by an average of 11.8 points per game. As you know, the Texans, of course, are without their franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Well, Tom Savage really was atrocious last week. He kind of put up some numbers at the end against a prevent defense, but to his defense, they even had a chance to pull out the victory. But still, a big drop-off at quarterback for the Texans, to say the least. And, they're already without their defensive player, J.J. Watt. Texans, a top over team in the NFL, going over by 11 points per game, 11.6 points per game, going over at a 5-3 rate. But again, that was with a much better quarterback than they're going to be having today. Rams are the second biggest over team, going over 6-2 at plus 7.7. However, not surprisingly, the NFL regression to the mean sport. And by the way, I'll try to, any comments or questions. Thank you, Roderick. Please send them my way. I'll do my best. But keep in mind, we're going to cover just about every game. So I know a lot of you will say, well, what do you think of this game, that game? Be patient. We're probably going to cover that game. But when two teams combine for a season-to-date average going over by at least 18 points per game, the two teams combined, it actually goes under 98-75 if the total is greater than 40. So again, regression to the mean. And keep in mind, we do have a premium play at this at OffshoreInsiders.com, having one of the greatest sports seasons ever, 119-79 in football. NBA, we're 12-6 the last 18. Visit us at OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe Duffy's picks. Saints and the Bills. Buffalo 14-0 against the spread at home off of games as favorites in which they allowed their opponent to exceed their season-to-date points on offense in their previous game by double digits. Also, an angle that says to go with a team that's large road favorites despite splits, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that in a moment. 122-79, go with such teams. So go with what the odds makers are taking you. Our free pick is going to be on the New Orleans Saints. Now, again, some of you might be saying, what the hell, I haven't watched a lot of your videos. I'm not a premium client of yours, which, thank you for keeping the books in business for us if you're not a premium client of my picks at OffshoreInsiders.com. But the splits would imply that Buffalo should be the favorite. Now, what I mean by split, some of you may be asking, the home record of the home team, which in this case is Buffalo, the road record of the road team, in this case, New Orleans. Buffalo's actually undefeated straight up at home. And in fact, the home team is 7-1 straight up in their games. So you may be saying, look, how could you not go with a team that's getting 3 at home and has not lost at home and has been much better at home than they are on the road? But in both the NBA, and we've made so much money, made more money in the NBA only because it applies more often. But when this applies in the NFL, that's one of the biggest mistakes that even good handicappers make. I've talked about some of the biggest square statements that's made on a consistent basis. But even some relative sharps, they actually believe that, you look at the home road splits, and when you find a team like Buffalo that's much better at home than on the road, you want to bet them at home and maybe against them on the road. False. Hashtag fake news. It is not true. Go what the odds makers are telling you, and it's an anti-splits angle. Now, it will be 35 degrees in Buffalo. I actually saw a couple weather forecasts. Another one said about 40. So, 5-degree difference. So it's not going to be exceptionally cold in Buffalo. I know, parts of the country, I hear in, my native Marlton, New Jersey, it's going to be even colder. But further to the north, no, it's not going to be super duper duper cold. But your free pick here is to go with the New Orleans Saints. And again, if you do like this information, please give us likes. It's going to help us with the exposure. That includes whether you're watching the rebroadcast on YouTube, and I'm even, I'm now able to upload it to Periscope, but the only people who are watching it live right now is on Facebook at Sportsbook Reviews Facebook page. Wherever you're watching this, give us likes or hearts or whatever. It helps us with exposure, and you're saying you want more information like this. Because I'll be honest with you, of all the various videos I do, whether it's for SBR or on my own YouTube page, details at offshoreinsiders.com. This is the one that's probably the most time intensive as far as work and scheduling stuff around. So please give us a vote of confidence if you like this information, literally like this video. Chargers and Jacksonville. The Jaguars, the best against the spread margin in the NFL at plus 11.5. They are 5-3. Chargers are the top under team in terms of margin, going under by an average of 8.1 points per game. They've gone under 5-3. Marquez Lee is questionable for the Jaguars, the wide receiver. Dallas and Atlanta. Well, we'll see how Dallas's offensive line does today. They are without running back Ezekiel Elliott. To say the least, that is a big, big, big loss. One of the top running backs in the league. I think you know why. Dallas 13-0 against the spread as underdogs off of a game in which they had more third down conversions than punts. Wide receiver Dez Bryant's actually questionable for Dallas, so make sure you continue to check those lines at SBR odds. We love SBR odds, and check those lines because that game could definitely move depending. And there we see it's even going up to 3.5 in some areas. So maybe there are some people who think that Dez Bryant isn't going to play, but SBR odds, we use that, including for games in progress. Now, the Falcons star wide receiver Julio Jones will play despite being limited in practice. And Falcons, hopefully, they hope he catches a, ball if he's wide open in the end zone. Crazy play last week. An angle that says go with the better yards per points team under specific situations is 109 and 78. Now, I'm going to flat out tell you, it's been in a little bit of a slump lately. And this is not a premium pick, but it was damn close because I think you're going to find out Dallas's highly touted offensive line not going to be so good, with some journeyman running backs behind Ezekiel Elliott. They get some decent talent, but this is a big situation for Atlanta to finally have a big bounce back. Another free pick is to go with the Atlanta Falcons. Steelers and the Colts. The Steelers have the highest percentage of unders, going under 7 of 8. Though they've gone under by an average of 6.1 points per game, which is actually fourth in the league. Colts wide receiver T.Y. Hilton is questionable as he was limited in practice Thursday and Friday. The Jets and Tampa. Tampa is the worst spread team in the NFL at 1-6-1 by minus 5 points per game. The Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans is out. Of course, as you know, Jameis Winston is out for Tampa as well. Now the Jets will be without running back Matt Forte. I think I actually have notes on this elsewhere. Every now and then when I'm organizing my notes, I don't actually do it in book order, so to speak. I just do it in the order that it comes in. Thought I had a couple more notes on that game, but make sure you stay tuned and watch this entire report. Vikings and the Redskins, road favorites off of a bye, are 58-26. That would favor the Vikings. However, home dogs off a win as a road dog, 148, 111, and 9 for 57%. That would favor the Redskins. Now, the Vikings defense has been nothing short of tremendous, holding teams to 0.5 yards per rush and 0.6 yards per pass, below their normal average. Case Keenum, 610 yards and 7 touchdowns with 3 interceptions and 7 appearances. As you know, it's been a revolving door. Looks like Teddy Bridgewater should be able to play if needed. And, the Vikings, certainly, in theory, they're down to their number 3 quarterback with Sam Bradford out, and Teddy Bridgewater looks like he's ready to make his return, but, he's going to be rusty, to say the least. And he's not going to start today, and I doubt if he'll play. But Washington's offensive line expected to be much more healthy than they were last week in their upset of Seattle. Washington is going to be much more healthy. Jordan Reed and Jamison Crowder, both questionable. Now, Reed had 27 catches in 6 games. Crowder, 28 in 7 games. By the way, Joe Duffy's picks, as we said, beyond since the preseason, one of the great years in the history of sports. Premium play on this at offshoreinsiders.com. Packers and the Bears. Look, say it all the time. Of course, offensive line is enormously important. Of course, defense is enormously important. If you have any doubt in your mind the importance of a quarterback, just look at the Green Bay Packers. Just look at the Houston Texans. Of course, it's not just, how good the starting quarterback is they lost, but his replacement. The Packers have had 3 straight losses by 9 points. There's a reason. Aaron Rodgers was hurt 3 games ago. Going against favorites that have been prohibitive underdogs almost all season are 135 and 89. That says go with Green Bay. So, yeah, I'm able to measure, essentially a team that almost all season has been a prohibitive underdog, the Chicago Bears. When they are posted as a favorite, they're actually a good go against. And, of course, there are extenuating circumstances, but there are going to be extenuating circumstances in situations like this. Going against road teams off of 3 straight losses of at least 9 points is actually 67 and 46. Moderately surprised because, as I've said many times, the NFL is a big regression to the mean sport. So, that's a little bit surprising there. But in this case, it does say fade Green Bay. Packers only 27 points their last 3 games. Bears just 16.7 points per game. The teams that normally allow 19.9 and 4.9 yards per play. The teams normally allowing 5.4. They got 1 touchdown, the Bears do, in their last 26 offensive possessions. And they're a favorite here, folks. Now, I saw one of the Chicago papers is saying this is the biggest home game in the John Fox era. And that's possible. Look, he's one of those coaches in the hot seat. If he loses this game, should be interesting. Now, Mitch Trubisky, this is a game he's got to break out. Teams are using 9 men, not 8 men, not 8 in a box, 9 men fronts against Chicago. They're begging Chicago to beat them. Trubisky's only completing 47.5% of his passes. Brett Hundley, 2 career touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. And since 2014, totals of 39 or less have actually gone under at a 20-7 rate. And yeah, Archie Wilson, thank you for that. Yeah, can they score without Aaron Rodgers? Well, we're talking about that game here. I've got my doubts. It's a very low total, but, and I've alluded to it before, and I think years ago, one of the first videos I did with Peter Loshak, he, of course, one of the great stars of Sportsbook Review, he said, what have been some of the biggest changes in all your years of handicapping? Now, I've been a professional handicapper since 1988 on the score phones, and I told him, I said, Peter, in the NFL, you could almost religiously bet low totals over and high totals under, and you would make a fortune. That is not the case anymore. These 2 offenses are so damn bad. I can certainly see how betting the under despite the low total, and recent history says that is a good idea. Home favorites off of a bye when their opponents off of a short week are a go against a 15-6, including 13-4 this century. So that would say go with the Packers. Now, teams in big losing streaks, but they scored at least 14 points in the fourth quarter of their last game. 78 and 48, so Green Bay, they showed some signs of life. That would say go with Green Bay. Light rain is expected. Surprising for, November the 12th. And by the way, a sincere thank you to any veterans out there. I know it's Veterans Day weekend. Words cannot express my appreciation. Look, when I turned 18, I think I was literally like 18 years and one day when I went and I rode my 10-speed bike, proudly registered for the draft, but I'm one of those. I did not serve in the military, and I thank those of you who have made it possible for me to, go away to college when I was 18, have a good time, and even learn. The computers were really starting to explode back then. I'm a little older than I look. And that's really helped me. There are a lot of things I've learned in college that I've actually applied to handicapping. One of them is deductive reasoning versus inductive reasoning, something we've talked about a long time ago. A sincere thanks to all of you veterans out there. Jets and the Buccaneers. Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right, I thought I had some information here elsewhere. We already told you about that. Yeah, every now and then I'll actually post notes on one game, come back and miss that I post it otherwhere, and I'll have notes on the same game posted twice. 15-mile-per-hour winds are expected, the Jets in Tampa. So, and I think that's what I was getting to say, that, November the 12th, middle of November, you really start to look at weather, especially in the northeast cities where it can be rainy and windy and maybe snowy and cold. Not really much that big of an issue today, the weather. Browns and the Lions. The Browns are 2-6 against the spread, including 0-4 on the road where they are outscored by 13.5 points per game. By the way, thank you for those of you giving us a likes. It really helps us out. It's a vote of confidence, helps us in search engines, and it's your way of saying you want more picks. But to that question, Archie, no, I don't think they can score. My biggest worry, though, when you have two questionable quarterbacks, you can have turnovers and you could have short field. So I don't think the offenses will put this game over the total, but I'd be very worried about either not so much defensive scores, but the defense giving their offense a short field. But I don't see a lot of 80-yard scoring drives. So if anything, despite the low total, as I said, recent history says betting low totals are a good idea. The Browns are, as we said, the Browns are just terrible on the road, and they're an outlier. We do have a lot of systems that say go with really bad teams in our regression to the mean. We did find out, though, I think it's when a team has lost at least 20 out of 21 straight up over a 2-year period. That's the outlier. And, fortunately I did discover that earlier this year, so tightened up some systems. Normally, we probably would be going with the Browns in a situation like this. And I'm not a Matt Stafford fan, so, going against Matt Stafford as a big favorite is usually a pretty good idea. But here's the thing. This is Detroit just snapped a 3-game losing streak. They're playing an awful team. I can see why Detroit would have a little motivation to run up the score, a quote-unquote statement game, especially for their offense. So that's why another reason I kind of begged off of it as a premium pick. What the hell, we'll throw it in as a free pick on Cleveland. But Cleveland, look, they're most vulnerable to the pass, allowing 7.1 yards per pass to teams that permit an average of 6.5. Now get this, rested winless teams are 21-4 against the spread. So that would favor Cleveland. It makes a whole lot of sense. Team that needs to make adjustments do. Little surprise as, we found that generally even teams that are playing well do benefit from the rest. And especially in recent years, the NFL is such a physical sport that teams off of a bye, as would be the conventional logic, generally do well, whether they're bad or good teams. Used to be good teams didn't benefit as much because, look, when you're in a groove, you really don't want that rest. And I will tell you, NBA season is here. As a general rule of thumb, we have quite a few angles that basically say hot teams, look, they like playing those 3 games in 4 nights. They're in a groove, and I know the NBA, the new scheduling, and don't think we're having any more than 5 games in 7 nights, but that does apply in the NBA. Teams that benefit from rest in the NBA when they need the rest. But NFL rest in recent years has always been good, and in hindsight, that makes a ton of sense because, as I said, the NFL, the players get bigger, stronger, faster. Whether you're playing well, whether you're playing poorly, the rest really helps teams out. Many systems that say go with bad teams off of a bye. Well, that's exactly what we said, and there we go. 21 out of 22. When a team has lost at least 21 out of 22 over multiple seasons, they are the outlier. That's when you don't actually want to go with the bad team. Sunday night football, the Patriots and the Broncos. Denver's the second worst against the spread margin in the league at -7. Got a premium pick on this at offshoreinsiders.com. I'm going to have your top consensus plays in a moment. For a lot of people, it might mean contrarian. But as I said, Joe Duffy's picks 119-79, 4-2 in football. That record is in football. 119-79 since the preseason, 4-2 yesterday. NBA were 12-6 the last 18. And just before I came on, now I got 2 college basketball winners, got a ton of NFL, including Moneyline Game of the Year, an underdog that wins outright, an NBA Game of the Week. Just saw before we went on the air, one of my databases was updated, probably going to add an NBA, maybe even a wise guy play. But your top consensus plays, not surprisingly, they do like the favorites going either with very good teams going against bad teams. That's how the public works. New England, Detroit, and the Rams. Again, please, if you do like this, show us, whether you're watching it live on Facebook, the rebroadcast on Sportsbook Review's Facebook page. Now able to upload it to my YouTube page, and probably going to send it to Periscope, couple other places as Nito, Megiddo software. But if you like us, that tells us you want more of this. Visit me at offshoreinsiders.com. Subscribe to Sportsbook Review's Facebook page if you're not already. Chances are you are, but make sure you do subscribe to it. We will talk to you next Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And by the way, I will talk with Sportsbook Review about maybe doing this during the bowls. If you give us plenty of likes, quite frankly, I want to get a lot more views and a lot more likes to make it truly worth the time in investment. But I'll be happy to talk to Sportsbook Review about doing this during the bowl season if you guys give us a bunch of likes and you guys demand it. But visit me at offshoreinsiders.com. Talk to you next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sportsbook Review's Facebook page.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
If you missed a turn, there's always another turn. Take it to get back to the turn you missed.
Use your turn signal.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents Roadside Assistance. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.